I'm here now with star of I, Daniel Blake, Hayley Squires. Hayley, how are you today?
I'm very good. I'm very pleased to be back in Newcastle.
It's been a very busy time, it's fair to say.
Yes, it has been a very busy time, but it's nice to be here. I'm looking forward to the UK premiere tonight. It'll be great.
So the film's done the rounds, it's been at Cannes, it's been at various other festivals, it obviously won the Palme d'Or at Cannes as well. How are you taking it all in? How does this feel to have a film like this to do so well?
It feels fantastic. Obviously to have the kind of accolades we've got at the film festivals has been fantastic, but also what those awards do is allow the film to gives the film a certain weight so that people can't ignore it and so that it has to be seen by people. And so in terms of the success, it's just great that people are seeing it, are moved by it, are talking about it in one way or another, because the film is of massive importance. And so the more we get people talking, the more people that see it, the more that we can do in terms of changes that need to take place.
So your character is a mother, she's got 2 children, she's had to come from down south up to Newcastle. It's quite a journey, quite a way to bring your children. Could you tell us a little bit about Hayley, your name's Hayley, about the character Katie,
of course.
A little bit where we meet her at the start of the film?
So at the start of the film, Katie has been living in a homeless hostel for around 18 months with her 2 children, Daisy and Dylan. And when I say homeless hostel, these are one-room spaces where women and families are bringing up their children. Eating, sleeping, washing, homework, everything in kind of the size of probably your bedroom, whilst they wait for accommodation and whilst they work towards getting accommodation. And as is a scheme that's taking place in London that a lot of people don't know about because it's been hidden away by the media, councils are offering initiatives for people to be rehoused when they say they can't house them in London, further up the country. And if people refuse to take them, the government tell them they've made themselves intentionally homeless and they're therefore no longer their responsibility. It's a really vindictive scheme that's going on. So Katie has been living in this place. She gets offered this place in Newcastle and she has no choice but to take it and bring her children here. And when we first meet her, due to circumstances out of her control, she's sanctioned by the DWP and becomes very, very skint, very, very hungry and in quite a difficult situation from the off to try and feed and shelter her children.
There's particularly harrowing and grueling scenes in the film, especially one that a lot of people talk about in the food bank. I found that you're the only person who knew that was actually going to happen in the food bank. How do you prepare yourself for a scene like that?
Well, I think it's important to say Paul Laverty writes a fantastic script and it's at the heart of everything that we do, of course. But the way Ken works is the actor isn't given the script in its entirety. He gives you sections as we go. And what I knew from the off was that Ken said to me, Katie suffers with hunger. Hunger is a major, major problem for her in the first half of the film. And as we went on, I knew we were working towards this food bank scene. I went to the food bank, which is one of the largest operating ones in the country, where the people who work there do fantastic work with the local community who are in need. I met with people who use the food bank. They're all the people you see in the film. They're all users of the food bank, and the people who work there are the women who work there. So I met with them, and I also fasted for 4 days. I had a small bowl of vegetable soup every day because I can't go without food because I like it too much. But yeah, me and Ken spoke about shooting that scene and the importance of the level of hunger that needs to be in there, because hunger leads you to tiredness, anxiety, stress, and so that all needed to be present. So that's what we did before we shot that scene.
I think Katie's a very easy character to sympathise with. I think you make it very easy to sympathise with the audience. She never feels like, I know you said in the Guardian a few years ago, working class women are only cast as drug addicts and bad mothers, and I think Katie is neither of those things. How important is that for the film to work?
I think it's vital. I think it's an excellent decision that's been made by Paul Laverty and Ken, in that when Paul did his research before writing this script, he met with hundreds and hundreds of people, and the people with disabilities were affected by austerity cuts the worst. And he could have easily made a choice where our 2 characters, Daniel and Katie, are affected by mental illness or disabilities, major disabilities, and he chose not to do that because this problem the problem of hunger and poverty and homelessness, and what you have to go through with DWP and fit for work and all of that is affecting hundreds and hundreds of what you could consider everyday working class people in a massive way, in a way that the super rich, the government, the media want to ignore. And it was very important to portray two characters who are absolutely working towards trying to make their lives better, who want to contribute to society, who want to pay their way, do their fair part, pay their taxes and all the rest of it. And for Katie, wanting to make her life better, wanting to educate herself, reach her potential, and make sure that her children are brought up in an environment where they can be decent members of society. And I think that's vital to do because of the complete smear campaign that's happened over the years, and since the Tories have been in government, have been in power by both the Tories and the media, to make people believe that the majority of people who receive benefits are scroungers. And it's all about segregating the working class so that the right can continue to rise. Sorry to go on a rant, but
not at all.
It's hard not to.
Well, it's the issues that are, very obvious in the film. The relationship between yourself and Dave, plays Daniel Blake, is very important. Obviously, he's the man on the poster. He's the central figure of the film. But Kate provides a very important figure in his life. What's the relationship between you and Dave? How was the connection straight away? You obviously had to do a lot of scenes together.
Yeah.
There had to be some kind of connection between the two of you. What was that like?
Do you know what? We had a connection from the off, which was lovely. So the first audition, I just went in. It wasn't an audition. I went in to meet and have a chat with Ken about myself, who I was, where I was from, and so on. And then the second time I met, they were pairing Daniel's and Katie's together to see who would work. And again, you don't have Paul's script. You're working from an improvisation basis in scenarios that Ken gives you just to have conversations. And I only did those improvisations with one other man, and then it was only with Dave. And I think it's very difficult to articulate, but we just kind of had a chemistry. We listened and responded to each other, which was great. We took on, we were really listening to each other, really talking to each other. And then when I went to the final recall again, it was only with Dave. And then when I found out I got the part, I said, is it Dave that's playing Daniel? And they said yes, and we were both over the moon. We got on with each other very well, and so it made being on set together very, very easy, I think.
So you graduated in university. This is obviously a university station, so we're very keen to sort of spread some wisdom if we can. You graduated 6 years ago from university, from what I found online.
Yeah.
So what kind of wisdom can you pass on to any upcoming actors? Obviously being the Ken Loach film, that's kind of a massive big deal. Just to somebody who wants to get the same kind of, well, I don't want to say success, but to get this kind of role that can...
To be able to work.
Yeah, to work, essentially, yeah.
To work. I think for anybody leaving university, my advice would be, I don't know, what advice? I think there's a big suggestion that because you have a degree and because you are educated, that things are going to be easy, and they're not in Britain at this time. There are thousands of people with degrees who are in what are considered well-paying jobs, but because of the price of rent, the cost of food, petrol, and everything else, life can be very difficult. The state of the economy can make things very difficult. My advice would be take any support that you can get. Take any support that you can get when it comes to getting on your 2 feet and deciding what you're going to do next now that you've graduated. Be that go back to your parents' house if you're lucky enough to be able to do that. Don't turn away support and consider yourself to be completely independent. And also you've just worked for 3+ years to educate yourself. Don't allow anyone to make you feel like that was a waste of time just because of the given climate when it comes to jobs and economy. So take support and keep working towards what you can, and don't allow people to distract you. It won't happen straight away. I don't think that's just a case if you've got a degree in the arts. I think it's a case across the board with people in their 20s. Our generation is suffering greatly because of the generations that have come before us. And whilst it isn't our job to moan and whine about that, it is our job to understand that and take that on board and look after ourselves and look after each other. I think our generation have to do that because it's the only way things are